Getting bigger. That's good enough. All right. So what the heck is this companion planting stuff we're talking about? Well, I'll tell you. Companion planting is when you plant another plant next to a plant. Sometimes they can actually help each other. Now, there's not just one way they can help each other. Some plants do certain things, others do other things, but we call these companion planting. That means if you grow them together, the plants will grow better together than they would by themselves. For example, what we see above is they call this the three sisters corn, beans, and pumpkins. So instead of using herbicide to prevent weeds, if you grow pumpkins, they make these big, wide leaves that are low. They kind of block out the sun, absorb all the sun, so that no weeds that are in the ground can grow. Also, the corn stalks, since they're really tall, you can grow pumpkins underneath them because these get enough sun up here. But beans, which like to wrap around and trellis up things, climb up stuff, they can actually climb up the corn stalks and grow with them. So the corn helps the beans grow tall and get more light. It's pretty awesome. Now, that's just one example, but plants that are companions, they can give nutrients to each other. For example, the beans, they're growing up the corn, getting more light, more space to grow. But beans are very well known to help nutrify the soil. They like to bring lots of nitrogen. So the corn is helping the bean grow up tall and get sun, and the bean is helping put nitrogen and different nutrients in the soil so that the corn and the pumpkin can grow even better. So companions can provide nutrients from each other. Sometimes they can deter pests. Some plants are perfect like homes for some pests, spiders or ladybugs or praying mantises. And if you plant that, let's say there's a plant that harbors something that kills the squash beetle. Well, you'd want to plant that next to your squash because then it's going to help keep predators there that are going to eat the squash beetle if they come after your squash, right? Other things like flowers attract pollinators. You definitely want to have things pollinated if you want to see it fruit or grow even better. Some provide space to climb, as we talked about here. Some prevent evaporation. Even here, these big leaves not only preventing weeds, but the pumpkin leaves are preventing the sun from cooking the soil and evaporating all the water out of it. And there's a ton of stuff. So much. So the last part of your project tells you that you have to grow at least four plants. One of them, I tell you, I want to hand you a paper like this. Essentially, think about, I'm going to draw on this, it's going to look terrible, but this here, this whole square, this is your farm, right? Now you can think to yourself, each big square represents a foot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's how big your farm is. Or you can have each little square resemble a foot, whatever you want to do. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to show me what you're going to grow. So one of those farms, you have to go cabbage. So you can put a C here. That means you're growing cabbage. So I'll put cabbage here. I'd write cabbage there. How many are you going to put? Well, you could put one there, put one here, put one here, put another one here. All right, you have cabbage. Now, what are you going to use as a companion plant for the cabbage? Let's just say a plant called pillow plant helps cabbage grow really well. Well, you probably want to put some pillow plant here, maybe some over here, maybe some over here. So this essentially is your plan for how you're going to grow your crops. Now, if you ask me, I can show you pictures of my garden at my house. I actually literally do this every year. I get a square grid just like this. I can show you a picture of the one that I did for this year. And then I did this a week ago. I put string across my plot so that there are literally squares. It's actually still there right now. I'm looking at it. And then in each spot, I count. I say, oh, that's where I'm putting this plant. That's where I'm putting this plant. That's where I'm putting this plant. In my plot, let me think what I have. Well, I have grapes growing, and I have geraniums. There's sage and basil and rosemary growing. Hyssop is between the grapevines because it helps with the grapes growing, and it likes to grow up the trellis. I have blackberries, which harvest. The blackberry actually helps a special wasp come around that the wasp brings a certain fungus that I want, a yeast that I want on my grapes. Um, I have geraniums, which flower and they bring pollinators in. I have lots of herbs, and lots of herbs will deter pests. Like any herbs that smell usually will deter pests. I have tomatoes growing next to basil, which are they're beneficial for each other. The basil makes the tomatoes taste better. All kinds of stuff like that. Now, in the project, I have links. Look for the links for different types of companion planning papers. If you just look it up, though, you'll find all kinds of companion planting lists. There's all sorts of stuff. It'll tell you what grows well with other things, right? And it'll give you even more information than you probably even want. Stuff I just told you about. You can even look up specific things. So look, the ladybugs. See, it's talking about the ladybug is good for. So dill attracts ladybugs. If you want ladybugs to eat some of your pests, you can use that. Basil and tomatoes. See, interplanted. Mint, nasturtiums. You can look tons of stuff up. Get creative with this. All right. If you have any questions, remember, just ask. If I could stop the video.